God, you gotta love that. I love these drum lines, baby. Can't get enough of them. CFB Dynasty, we're gonna go through the recap. Gonna be quite quick this week because we didn't have many games played, but UCLA, we saw it in the group chat. Coach Waymer said the score it's not really indicative of the game that was played. He was up 14-0 going into the fourth quarter. I don't know what ended up happening, but he puts 50 points up on the board, and Miami, Coach Slick does have another scoreless game. He's going to look to turn that around, hopefully in the next game here, and hopefully, you know, the following games for the rest of the year. So we're pulling for you, Coach Slick. Tennessee, myself, I did have a big game today against Coach Segura in South Carolina. It was a big game for both of us. We were going back and forth, neck and neck the entire time. He just really made a few mistakes, and that's what it all boils down to in every game that you play. The mistakes will kill you. They did wind up killing him. We'll see a few clips from both of us in the following highlights coming up here in the next slide. But before we get there, Florida, Coach Octor, now 4-4, ends up beating a number 7 ranked Georgia team. They're now 6-3. And this was played in Jacksonville, if I remember correct. This is a Georgia-Florida matchup, and big win for Coach Octor. He's now got some momentum rolling here as we look to close out the rest of the games this year. We've got a few left, but things are starting to get serious, as you'll see, you know, as I go through the rest of the presentation here. All these teams that have buys, though: Auburn, Missouri, Arkansas, North Carolina, looking to bounce back this week with schemes. Before we get there, we're going to go through the top 10 this week, and we're going to start with Florida and Georgia. Florida is up 28-7 at this point. Carson Beck standing in the pocket, a lot of time, throws it deep, but that's a perfect timing user pick for Coach Octor. He does get tackled shortly thereafter, so you're not missing much from that transition that cut off the clip just a little bit. But we're on to number 9, 0-0 at this point. I've got the ball on the 8-yard line, looking to put it in here, and Stadium Pulse is rocking. And this is like the first time I run this play, but it's pretty cool. A little tight end screen action, and I put it in the end zone, go up 7-0 pretty quick. Big play for the boys. Same game, South Carolina 21-35 at this point. It's 4th and goal for Coach Segura. He's on the 3-yard line. This is a big play for him, and you're going to find out what ends up happening just in a moment here. Tries to force it. Guy Gibson, the third, jumps the route, breaks a couple tackles, gets to about the 24-yard line. Big play for me on 4th and goal there. On to UCLA and Miami. It's only 7-0 at this point, end of the first quarter. I don't know where that ball was going, but big interception for Coach Slick. He couldn't capitalize, obviously, but nice play there. Next, our game, 21-14. I'm up at this point. It's South Carolina ball. You did see he had a pass play there at the beginning, but he told me while we were playing that he recognized something on the defensive side of the ball, called an audible. Big play there, untouched touchdown. This play here, 28-21, South Carolina ball. He has a nice play there for a first down. Coming back onto the field here pretty quick. He's looking, got a lot of time back there, and he throws an interception. Again, those mistakes will kill you, and this one I actually take back to the house. This is one of my best players. I think his name's Boo Carter. It's Arian Carter in the game, but I think he might be going by Boo. I'm not sure, but big play there for me. This one, I'm up 7-0 at this point, and he's got the deep ball down, but look at this. Nick Harbor has, like, I don't know, 10 yards on my guy there. The guy's unstoppable. I'm excited to see how good he is next year and a couple of years going forward as he progresses, and Coach Segura does a lot of training with him on, you know, outside of normal practice hours, and on weekends he's going to be watching film. We all know Coach Segura pushes his players pretty hard. But same game here, 0-0. Notice that there's 5 minutes here. This is the first play of the game. He gets hit while he throws, and I have a perfect timing user pick, really setting the momentum from the get-go. You got to love that. and it wound up playing pretty well for me, doing something like that. So this is a big moment. 35-21 here. I roll out to the right. I'm getting pressured. I throw this dig route to Squirrel White. Little juke and a broken tackle, and then you're not going to catch him. I'm not quite as fast as Nick Harbor. He's not quite as fast as Nick Harbor, but he's hard to catch still, regardless. But number one here, he gave me shit last time for the defensive lineman, the big man, getting the pick and not getting number one. But this was, honestly, he earned it. That was a huge play, especially, I mean, it's 21-21 right before half here. So that, it turns out that, interception at the beginning of the game didn't really matter all that much because he had a play like that. That play was pretty damn good. So shout out Coach Segura for another big man pick. That was a huge play. Well earned number one this week. On to UCLA stats. Ethan Garbers was 3 for 3, but it looks like Demarcus Davis played most of the game. 6 touchdowns, had 4 picks, but it didn't wind up costing him all too much because he won 50-0. But he was 24 for 36, and then Sturdivant's back up towards the top of his receiving core for this game. 4 receptions, 111, 1 touchdown. On to Miami. Obviously, he didn't have a great week. Not many stats to go over here. I did throw something on the screen. Jordan Brunson, he's a halfback, 4 catches, 40 yards. You'll bounce back next week, Coach Slick. On to Tennessee. Big day for myself. 514 yards. Back to the air attack. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 25 for 33. Thornton Jr., 11 catches for 249 and 2 touchdowns. Squirrel White's not too far behind him. 4 catches, 131, 1 touchdown. Huge day for this Thornton guy, and I'm actually watching the Tennessee game as we speak. He had a huge 66-yard touchdown catch towards the beginning of the game against Oklahoma tonight. So, the game is pretty realistic. You got to love it. He's a good player. Speaking of good players, South Carolina, Nick Harbor, 7 catches. He also eclipsed the 200-yard mark. He had 1 touchdown. You saw one of his clips there at the beginning, that deep ball. I mean, this guy is tough to stop. Like I said, I'm a little nervous to see what happens next year and the following years to see really how good this guy is going to be. But he's a freak. He's an absolute psychopath. You just can't stop him. I tried everything. Florida Gators, DJ Lagway, 250, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. But check this out, 18 for 18. Didn't throw an incompletion. That's absolutely bonkers. Nice job, Coach Octor. You got a nice player on your hands. Excited to see how he develops as well. And then we've got Arliss Boardingham up towards the top of his receiving core as well. For the past couple of weeks now, but he had 10 catches, 101, and 1 touchdown. That's a lot of 1s and 0s you'll see for Boardingham. Nice job. Duo of the week. It's funny, I was playing Coach Segura, and he was like, oh, now I got to endure another week of you saying on the recap, got to give it to my guys. But I really do. My hands are tied here. Come on. Maybe if you would have stopped them, then I wouldn't have to do this. But they had big days. I won't harp on it too much further, but I like these guys. I'm going to continue to throw it to Thornton. I'm upset that he's a senior. On to National Players of the Week. We did have a Defensive Player of the Week. Seems like UCLA is on here every week. Brian Addison, this time, week 9, 3 tackles, 3 picks, 1 touchdown, free safety. Big week for this guy. But things are starting to pick up, and the season is closing out here. As we look to the back half of the year, we've got some award races, so to speak. So best defensive back, here's the rankings here. Jalen Davies up towards the top, but Nick M and Rory right behind him. South Carolina, we've also got Marcus Clark for Mizzou at number 8. Best defensive player overall, James Pierce Jr. For myself, no surprise, the guy's 95 overall. He's absolute freak. Arian Carter, that's that Boo Carter guy I was just talking about. He's 3rd, and then we've got Jalen Davies there at number 5. Best head coach. This kind of pissed me off a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like a personal attack. Keith Burgess is number 1. We do have Tony Segura Jr. At number 3, so we do have someone on this list. But I don't know what this game is thinking, because we've got some great programs that are running great offensive schemes, great defensive schemes, and they're not on this list. So let's change that as we move through the rest of the year. You're going to hear more about Keith Burgess in a couple of minutes. Best running back, no surprise, but what may be a surprise is we have the top 3 running backs, but we've got 5 in the top 10. That's absolutely insane. Good job, everybody. No surprise, Jarquez Hunter is up at the top, even though Coach Stevenson uses him as a receiver. Best receiver, speaking of receivers, we've got Nick Harbor, again, the freak, at number 2. He's a sophomore, and then Dante Thornton, the junior, is at number 9. We also have Luther Burden III. He's one of the best receivers in the nation at number 5. 2024 Heisman Trophy race presented by Nissan. Jarquez Hunter is still number 1. Looks like he's the only one in the list as of now from the SEC. Let's look to change that. I don't like any of these guys on the list. Okay, so let's get some of our guys in there. Conference standings, these are now updated. I am now moved back up to the top spot. Auburn ranked number 10th. You'll see they're second. South Carolina bumped down to number 20, and UCLA at 14. But it's really anybody's game right now, and you'll see that when we go through this here. This is what we've all been waiting for, what we're all playing for, the 2024 college football playoff. Here is the bracket as of now. It was leaked earlier in the group chat, but this is official. You see it here, you see it now. I'll talk through it. I don't agree with number 12, Georgia. They do have an asterisk next to their name, which I don't know what that means, but they're 6-3. Like, shouldn't UCLA be there? Shouldn't South Carolina be there? Someone else should be in that 12 spot, but oh well, we'll see what happens as the season progresses further. We've got Auburn ranked 10 at number 10, and myself ranked 8th at 4. So we've got some teams in here. Right now, as it stands, I'm going to be playing in the Sugar Bowl. Big week coming up for me. And we're going to talk just about that right now. Florida Gators, Coach Octor, now sitting at 500 overall, but 3-4 in the SEC, going against Coach Waymer, who's now ranked 14th. Big jump for him in the rankings. He's 6-2. This is in Pasadena, California. Big game against these fellas. We've also got Mizzou, Coach Hess, 3-4, going against Coach Slick, 1-6. We'll see what happens there. That is in Oxford. I love when a game's in Oxford. Good stuff. Ole Miss ranked 16th. They're 5-2 going against Arkansas. He's got another tough matchup against the computer. Coach AJ, he's 3-5. 2-5 in the SEC. That one is in Fayetteville. We'll see if he can pull it out. Big game for Coach Segura coming up. He's got 2 back-to-back games that were, really, really big, really huge. So he's got Texas A&M, and that's that guy I was just talking about, actually. Keith Burgess, that's his name. Coach Keith Burgess, 8-1. They're ranked 2nd in the nation. This is a rivalry game for Coach Segura, who's ranked number 20th now at 7-2. Big win for him if he can pull it off. That would help allow him to jump probably up into the top 10, maybe, top 15, but he would definitely jump a couple of spots if he wins this. So that's at 3:30, home game for him in Columbia, South Carolina. Next, huge game for myself. We've been playing against each other since we were 11 years old, right? So I know his schemes. I know what he likes to do. I'm going to shut his ass down. 6-1, Tennessee going against Auburn, number 10, at home in Auburn, Alabama at 11:30 on November 2nd. This will be broadcasted, so tune in if you'd like. Big game for both of us, and whoever wins this, good chance you'll be in the playoff. You would seal your spot in the playoff, I would assume. Lastly, Coach Faracco, 3-5 at UNC. He's 3-4 in the SEC, going against Florida State. I guess the game EA didn't get the message that Florida State sucks ass. They're ranked 14th in the game, 5-2, 4-2 in their conference, and that's November 2nd in Tallahassee, 3:30. He's going to look for a big win. But thanks for tuning in. Can't wait to see what happens with everyone's games, and I will be covering them once again next week. Thank you. Later.